Hi friends, today I am going to discuss about the medical surgical nursing 2 for the GNM second years. So in this we are going to discuss about the unit 9 and nursing management of patient with the musculoskeletal disorders. So in the last class we have seen about the fractures of the bones. So it is a part 2 about the fractures. So it includes the diagnostic findings. So in the last class we have seen up to the clinical manifestations and the complications, and today we are going to discuss about the diagnostic evaluation for the fractures of the bone. So in the diagnostic evaluation includes the history collection. History collection, it includes the age and history of the trauma and previous illness and the previous surgeries. So the nurse has to be collect the history from the patient. So the nurse first has to ask the patient about the age. So old age people, they have chance to get the more fracture. So the nurse has to be ask the age of the patient, and there is a history of trauma. So because of the any trauma or any injury, because of the accident, the patient will get the accident. So the patient may have the accident. So because the nurse has to be ask the patient about the history of the trauma. So next one is previous illness. So the patient having the previous illness about the musculoskeletal disorders like osteoporosis, osteomalacia. So like that diseases having or not, the nurse has to be ask the patient about the previous illness like musculoskeletal disorders. Previous any musculoskeletal disorders are present or not, the nurse has to be collect the history from the patient. And next one is previous surgeries. So the patient having any previous surgeries about the skeletal disorders, the nurse has to be asked. And next one is the physical examination. So in the physical examination, pain with movement and the pulse and edema and skin color. So the nurse has to be assessed for the skin color and the edema. So the inflammation is present at the fracture site or not, the nurse has to be assessed in the physical examination. And there is a movement is present in normal way or the pain with movement. So the patient will have the, while moving, the patient will have the pain or not, the nurse has to be assessed. And there is a temperature of the patient and the deformity and the range of motion. The patient is able to moving the legs or not, the nurse has to be assessed. And the sensation should be examined. So the sensation is present at the fracture site or not, the nurse has to be assessed. So it is about the physical examination and the history collection. Next one is the laboratory studies. So in the laboratory studies, there is a complete blood count. So in the complete blood count, there is a, we can check for the WBC count and the RBC count. So there is a complete blood loss can be occur in the fracture. So because of this we can check the RBC count, red blood cell count. So there is a become decreased red blood cells. So the nurse has to be assessed for the laboratory studies. Next one is WBC count. WBC count, there is a become because of the open wound fractures or the closed fractures. Because of the open wound fractures, the patient may get the infection. So because of this, the WBC may be increased or the decreased. So there is a, we can check for the WBC count. Next one is urine creatinine clearance. So there is a muscle trauma. So because of the injury to the muscles, there is a increases the creatinine levels in the urine. So because of this, we can identify the creatinine in the urine. We can check the urine creatinine clearance. And next one is coagulation profile. In the coagulation profile, there is a alterations may occur because of the blood loss or the liver injury. So because of this blood loss, there is a alterations can be occur in the clotting factor. So because of this, there is a coagulation profile can be done to know the alterations occur in the blood clotting or not. We can identify by the coagulation profile. And the next one is X-ray. X-ray can be done to determine the location. So where the fracture has occurred, where the fracture is present, and we can identify by the X-ray. And the next one is CT scan can be done to diagnose a fracture and the periosteosis, means there is a inflammation of the periosteum. It is a covering layer of the bones. So there is a inflammation of the periosteum or any fracture. It can be diagnosed by the CT scan. And the next one is MRI scan. It is magnetic resonance imaging. It can be used to diagnose the osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, there is a bones become weak and easy to break. So there is a bone marrow changes. So any changes occur in the bone marrow or not, it can be identified by the MRI scan. Next one is bone neoplasm. So there is any cancer of the bone, it can be identified by the MRI scan. So it is about the laboratory test. So in the laboratory studies, it includes the CBC, complete blood count, and urine creatinine clearance, and coagulation profile, and X-ray, CT scan, and MRI. Next one is bone mineral density test. So in the bone mineral density test, it can be used to diagnose the osteoporosis. In the bone mineral density test, it is the using of the low X-ray, and it can be used to diagnose the osteoporosis. Osteoporosis means the bones become very weak and it is easy to break. So to diagnose this, the bone mineral density test can be done. And next one is arteriogram. So arteriogram can be done to diagnose the any vascular damage is present or not. So there is any damage to the blood vessels or not, to diagnose by the arteriogram. So arteriogram means there is a to diagnose the vascular damage, any damage to the blood vessels or not, we can identify by the arteriogram. So it completes the diagnostic evaluation. And next one is management. So in the management, Rice formula is very important to treat the infection or fracture. So there is a management includes the Rice formula. Rice means there is a R means rest, I means immobilization, and C means cold application, E means elevation. So first we will discuss about the rest. So in the rest, first 48 to 72 hours after injury, activity should be avoided. So after the injury, 48 to 72 hours after the injury, 48 to 72 hours, there is a activity should be avoided. So the activity mobilization should be avoided. So there is a rest, it includes the for the first 48 to 72 hours, and the activity should be avoided after the injury. And next one is immobilization. Immobilization may be accomplished by external or internal fixation. So immobilization is very important during the fractures. So there is a fractured bone can be immobilized. So by the external and internal fixation. So external fixation, it includes the bandages. So external fixation can be done to the fracture and by the bandages and the splint and continuous traction. So there is a supporting the fractured bones. So there is a supporting to the fractured bones. The external fixation includes the bandages and the splints and continuous traction. It can be support the fractured bones, and the internal fixation includes the metal implants. So there is an internal fixation can be done by the using the metals to support the fracture bones. So the metals can be used to fix the fracture bones inside. So it called as internal fixation. It includes the metal implants. Metal implants, it is nothing but using the metals to fix the bones inside the body, and to fixing the bones there is a metal implants can be used. So internal means inside the body and external means outside the body. So the bandages and the splints, it can be used outside the body to support the fractured bones. So it is about the immobilization. And next one is cold application. In the cold application, there is a ice pack wrapped in a cloth can be applied. So the ice cannot be applied directly to the skin. So does not apply the cold directly to the skin. The ice pack can be wrapped in cloth. So the ice pack can be keep in the cloth and then apply the cold application to the patient. So the pack can be wrapped in a cloth, can be applied for 15 to 20 minutes for every 2 to 3 hours. So every 2 to 3 hours there is a application of the cold for 15 to 20 minutes, and the next for the 48 to 72 hours after injury. So there is a 48 to 72 hours after injury, there is a every 22 to 3 hours there is a 15 to 20 minutes of there is a apply the cold to the injured area to reduce the swelling. So after the injury of the 48 to 72 hours and every 2 to 3 hours there is a application of cold about 15 to 20 minutes to reduce the swelling. So it is about the cold application. And next one is elevation. So elevation, there is a elevate the injury area above the level of heart for the first 48 to 72 hours. So after the injury of the 48 to 72 hours, and there is a elevation of the injured area above the heart level. So above the level of the heart there is a elevated the fracture site. So there is a fractured bone can be elevated above the heart level after the 48 to 72 hours of injury. Next one is medical management. In the medical management there is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So anti-inflammatory drugs, it can be given to reduce the pain and the inflammation. So it can be used to reduce the pain and the inflammation. So it is the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Next one is antibiotics. So if the patient having wound infection, open wound, so the bacteria can be enter into the body, it cause the infection. So to prevent the infection we can administer the antibiotics to the patient to reduce the infection and the inflammation, and we can administer the antibiotics. Next one is anticoagulants. So anticoagulants, there is a to prevent the deep vein thrombosis. So to prevent the deep vein thrombosis we can administer the anticoagulants. So deep vein thrombosis means there is a thrombus formation in the deep vein. So there is a thrombus, blood clot can be formed in the deep veins, that is lower legs. So deep vein thrombosis can be mostly formed in the lower legs. There is a clot formation can be occur in the deep veins, that is mostly in the lower legs. So to prevent this we can administer the anticoagulants. So to prevent the blood clotting we can provide the anticoagulants to the patient. So because of this immobilization the patient may have the deep vein thrombosis. So to prevent this we can administer the anticoagulants. And the next one is stool softeners. So because of this immobilization and there is a level of decrease the activity. So because of this the patient may have the constipation. So because of this constipation we can administer the stool softener to reduce the constipation. So it is about the medical management for the fractures.